Okay, seems like a lot of you are done, so let's continue. Um, uh, David, can you go ahead and share screen?
So I remember the code for the class method is similar to this. I did the at static method with the def add a and b in closed parentheses, and then return a plus b.
Good job. So static methods are just like regular methods. Or sorry, just like regular functions. Like if you defined like a function outside here, like we did def add a b, right? If we did this outside and like we called it, like to call this, we would just call print add 1 and 2, right? And it return back 3. But with the static method, so the difference is static methods can't access self and they can't access class. That's the difference between them. But other than that, they behave just like a regular function, except you can do the name of the function dot add, and they don't rely on on the class, and they can't access the class, but they can do something in the class, right? So let's get rid of this. And then class methods, the only difference is that you can use self and refer to self, and you can use class and refer to class. So you can access self by calling the class, and that's the difference. So if you do at class method, then you can uh, call the class. If you just do at static method, you can do stuff with whatever's passed into it, but you can't call on class or self. Any questions about that? But other than that, it's just like a oh, and you can call on well, yeah, just things in the class. Um, any questions about that and how that works? So it's just like a regular method that you would, or sorry, function that you would create. No questions? Okay. Jacob, you understanding now?
A little bit better, yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Not at this moment.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds good. Which of these is most likely a static method? Spam X and Y, because it doesn't call on the class and it doesn't call on self. So it's most likely a static method. You'd have to be a class method to call class or self. Right. Mike, can you read this?
Access to instance attributes. They are created by putting the property decorator above a method, which means when the instance attribute with the same name as the method is accessed, the method will be called instead. One common use of a property is to make an attribute read only. Run the code and see how it works.
Okay. So with this one, we're passing in the toppings, we're passing in this, and then it's calling is pineapple allowed true. Well, it's getting an error because you can't set that attribute because it's not actually doing anything. Now if we did, oh no, it already did print pineapple allowed and it returned false, and it's just not letting you set it because it's already a set property. So it's like setting a variable, right? Except you can't change it. It's the property that's not going to be changed. So, all right. Answer the next question. Okay, fill in the blanks to create an is adult property. At property def is adult. If age is 18, return true, and else return false. Peter, you caught up?
Yeah,
Okay, can you read this?
properties. Properties can also be set by defining setter and getter functions. The setter function sets the corresponding property's value. The getter gives a value. To define a setter, you need to use a decorator of the same name as a property, followed by a dot and the setter keyword. The same applies to defining getter functions. Run the code, see how it works.
So get and set are used a lot in C#. And it's basically like allowing you to set it and like allowing you to get the different data and stuff. So like we'll run this. Okay. Oh, it wanted me to enter that. Hold on. Didn't it run?
Need an exclamation point at the end.
Oh, thanks. So with the setter, okay, pineapple allowed. So, all right, is pineapple allowed? False. And then pizza dot pineapple allowed equals true. And then when it's calling this allowed right here. So since it's now, now it's setting the value to true, because it's got the setter, as opposed to if it didn't. Well, it's not even gonna run. It looks like, yeah, it's just gonna get an error because it's not callable because we didn't have setter there. So any questions on that? Nope. Okay. All right, go ahead, work on the practice and raise your hand once you're done. Just a hint on this one, they're not trying to get you to use the setter or anything in this one. They're just trying to get you to create a property that does that when it's called. Okay, good. So seems like a lot of you are done. So this one, Jacob, can you do share screen?
Okay, can you see?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So a lot of the answer after you basically said it was a lot easier than what we were looking at. It
Yeah.
actually gives you the answer right there. You're creating the property right here is basically where you're starting. And it also gives you the answer down here at the bottom, how to figure it out
Yeah.
right here. So if self dot value %2 == 0 returns true, else it's false.
So initially the class is created down there on line 14 and creating an instance of X and passing in whatever number it is, right? And then if we're calling that property, that dot is even, and it then, it compares, okay, self dot value. So it gets the value of whatever we saved when they did the input, right? And compares if it's divisible by 2 and equals 0, has no remainders, then returns true, otherwise false. So good. Good job.
I was still looking at it.
Oh, okay. Well, here you can look at mine. It's the same thing. But before we end for today, let's go over a little bit more on setter. Because I don't know if I explained that well enough or went too fast. But going back to this, so like we've got a property that we can't set from the outside, right? Because that's how the properties work, right? You can't you're not going to be able to set them externally. But so we created the property, and okay, what's it going to return? Okay, the property is going to do something. What's it going to do? It's going to return whatever this is right here so whenever it was set. So we created pizza, passed in cheese and tomato, right? So like when we print, if we printed pizza, or hold on, pizza dot toppings, let me do this thing. All right, hold on, let's just comment this stuff out. It's how is it still, hold on. No, I guess just because when it's created or whatever. Okay, so all right, so we're calling our pizza toppings, retrieve it, and just gives us that, right? Now here on this line, we're not like if we tried calling, so this right here, pineapple allowed, right? If we called the underscore one, the one that's what's it called? A weak private method, right? Then it's going to give us the result because we're calling it by the weak private method name, right? Like we talked about earlier, how you can call it if you just call it by its name, right? But this is showing you how to basically have a different way of doing it that doesn't let people do it, right? So if we then call this property, okay, let's say we didn't have this. Okay. And we just called pizza dot pineapple allowed, right? It's going to get us false because it's calling the method there, right? But then when we add this, but we can't change it, right? We're not able to do, so we called it, right? Okay, so remember right now, these are all commented out. And so we can see, so when we run this, it's giving us false, right? But then if we tried to do this without allowing this setter method, right? If we had this out, and we tried to set it, right? It's not, you can't set that attribute, right? Because this currently doesn't do anything other than all this does is return what that is, right? Doesn't have that ability. But when we add this back in dot setter, so what the setter's doing, so you're calling, so at property, so we created the property, right? Now we're referencing that property by doing at pineapple underscored allowed dot setter, and then calling it, and then calling the pineapple allowed. We're saying, okay, if somebody is trying to set this and they call pineapple allowed, so what we're doing right here, well, if they enter the right password, then we honestly, this is all, you don't need this crap. Like we could just say, just let them. This is confusing to add all this extra stuff. So we're saying, and then let's print it. Okay, so now we're saying, okay, so we called it. Initially it was false, but then we did the setter method. And we're saying, okay, let's allow them to set this right here to something new. And then when we call it, okay, then we get the new result, right? So that's what, you know, by calling the property and doing dot setter, it allows you to do. Any questions on that? David, your hand went up. Was it because you had a question?
No, I'm sorry. Fat fingers.
Oh, okay, no worries. So y'all sure no questions on this? If you do, it's totally fine. Okay. All right, well, and then this last one, define a decorator that would be used to add a setter to the property egg at egg dot setter. All right, go ahead and hold on. First, let me log off. I'll be right back.